Just to show that there were just identifying the plans differently, and then pretty much everything else is the same. It just shows red lines. So, see, it's really not changing. Sure.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the West Goshen Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, May the 5th. To start the meeting, will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be aware this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube, and the meeting may also be audio or video recorded by people present in the room. Our first item of business is the opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone in attendance who has a comment or a question about something that is not on the agenda this evening? Stephen.
Good afternoon, good evening, Board of Supervisors. Stephen Lyons with Save Forsyth Farm. Just would like to read a brief statement and submit for record from Mary Sue Boyle, who is a longtime historic preservationist in the county, was responsible for helping to implement one of the first historic ordinances in the county for East Bradford, which became the model and the sort of guidepost for many historic ordinances throughout the county. And ours also followed some of her recommendations. This is her statement regarding the farm. The National Historic Preservation Act of 1966 was passed primarily to acknowledge the importance of protecting our nation's heritage from rampant federal development. It was the triumph of more than a century of struggle by a grassroots movement of committed preservationists. This act charges the federal, state, and local certified governments to echo the intent of the act, preserve and protect our nation heritage. Further, our Pennsylvania Constitution mandates the preservation of state historic, aesthetic, and cultural values, establishing them as public resources to be protected. Article 1, Section 27. Pennsylvania Historic Museum Commission was formed to execute such. Local municipalities' ordinances are mandated, NPCs, to respect federal, state, and local laws protecting our resources and advocate for the resource in times of decay and other perils. Pennsylvania Act 167. Today, Forsyth Farm stands as a silent and traumatized example of the late Georgian and early federal architectural style emerging in circa 1818, the year Frederick Douglass was born. Also the year Brooks Brothers was formed, the year the Canadian and U.S. border was established and our adopted flag had 20 stars on it. Andrew Jackson was still fighting the Seminole Indians in Florida. The silent, prosperous agricultural industry in the Westtown region provided a handsome income to many. The Society of Friends, as they had done in the 1690s, noted that education should be provided by those who would and could educate, without respect to race, religion, to friends and foe alike, and they built schools to do so. The train service arrived later in the 1800s, which enhanced agricultural production and brought the wealthy to pristine Chester County to build their weekend retreat mansions. Forsyth Farm represents this growth of industry while maintaining the tenets of the Friends Code of Ethics and contributed to the formation of the colony of Pennsylvania, as well as the unique sense of community in Chester County and the Westtown School. Forsyth Farm, in my professional estimation, is National Register eligible. This poor old gal needs a roof over her head, and the conservators should be mandated to do so immediately. The fact that Forsyth Farm has sat for years unheated and maintained has created an opportunity that nature has taken care of through cycles of water freezing, thawing, freezing again, has ruined the roof, the interior elements under the roof leaks. Due to demolition by neglect, Forsyth Farm needs a roof immediately, especially after the winter we have all endured. If the conservators won't put a roof on this structure, clearly the farmstead should be donated to an entity that can place a roof immediately to protect the architectural integrity of this gem and subsequently restore the house. National Register nomination is the next step, and subsequent use of the federal and state historic tax credit of 20% to rehabilitate the architectural gem Forsyth Farm. Today, there are many opposing the loss of this property sitting in this room. They will support this effort, much like we, Chester County, and successfully supported the Chesterdale Farm efforts most recently. Only we the people, with the toolbox of laws in hand, will protect and preserve Forsyth Farm for future generations to appreciate and learn our national heritage. And one more comment. No way will 10 individual houses fit on 8 acres surrounded by other existing houses. With respect to setbacks, perk tests, and other required compliances of federal, state, and local laws, and permits of subdivision and land development. Respectfully submitted, Mary Sue Boyle, Principal of Boyle and Company LLC, PHMC National Register Consultant. And we are honored to have her as part of our initiative. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing, Steve. Mr. Boyle, any questions for Steve? Okay. Is there anyone else with a public comment this evening? Okay, then we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is discussion and possible appointment of Kenneth Lair, Park and Recreation Director, as Town Crier for West Goshen Township's America 250 celebration. Ken, why don't you come on up?
Sure.
So I'm going to make a motion to appoint Ken as our town crier for the township for this year's America 250 celebrations. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments about the motion?
Perfect man for it.
Thank you.
Ken, would you like to say a few words before we take a vote?
This year, West Goshen Township is celebrating America 250 in conjunction with East Goshen Township for a program of events we are calling America 250 at Goshen. The town choir services would be for the following events. May 30th, 2026, that is the big America 250 at Goshen celebration at East Goshen Township Park, free for the public. June 6th, 2025, Spy Camp at the Goshenville Blacksmith Shop for children 7 through 12 years old. July 18th, 2026, a presentation here in this room about the Battle of the Clouds and the Paoli Massacre, and then a bus tour of sites from those two battles. August 2nd, 2026, the Westchester Area Council of Government America 250 stroll through Westchester, free and open to the public. August 20th, an evening with inventor Benjamin Franklin, free and open to the public at the East Goshen Township building. September 12th, 2026, a Paoli Battlefield private walking tour. Due to limited space, this is free only for residents of West Goshen and East Goshen Townships. October 10th, a ghost walk at the Goshenville Blacksmith Shop. And November 12th, a historical presentation here by historian Thomas McGuire at the West Goshen Township building right here in this room, free and open to the public. And just so everyone knows, I am reading this from our America 250 event passport. If anyone would like the listing, these passports are available in the vestibule downstairs so people can plan their own activities for the summer. These are the listed events. Of course, I would serve at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors. If you want an official oyas at the beginning of your meetings, that can be arranged.
Nice. Thank you, Ken.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions for the board or for Ken before we take a vote?
Well, I just want to ask Ken, what exactly are your duties going to be as the town crier?
The primary duty of the town crier is making sure that people are aware of the goings on. So, for example, at the America 250 events, make sure they know what is going on where, as well as what will be coming up for the future. Again, that can be negotiated if there anything else that you would like the town crier to announce.
Maybe the time
Sure.
or the hour?
We can do the time, we can do the hour, we can do the headlines.
Thank you, Ken. Any questions? All right, then we'll take a vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you for being our town crier.
Thank you.
Very good. Next on the agenda is item number 5, discussion and possible approval of an amended final land development plan for the redevelopment of the Parkway Shopping Centre at 929 South High Street, pertaining to traffic circulation changes with the existing McDonald's restaurant. Chris, would you introduce this and our guests?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Chairman. So here with us this evening is Greg Adelman, the applicant's legal counsel, and Alex Peel, the applicant's design professional. So before the board this evening is proposed resolution number 8-2026. This resolution will grant approval for an amended land development plan for the redevelopment of the Parkway Shopping Center with a Wawa convenience store with fueling stations. The board previously entered into a settlement agreement for this project on September 3rd, 2024, and granted preliminary final land development approval on May 21st, 2025 through the adoption of resolution number 21-2025. The amendments to the plan are specific to the existing McDonald's restaurant and circulation changes that they requested. I provided a review letter from Chris Williams with Bowman, the township's special traffic engineer for this project. There are no changes being proposed to the Wawa construction at this location, and these modifications have no bearing on the highway occupancy permit being reviewed by the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, as they are internal to the site. The amended land development plan was reviewed by the Planning Commission at their meeting on April 14th, and they voted to remain neutral on the proposal. And I do have exhibits that the applicant provided that were included in the meeting packet, so let me just bring those up quickly. And we did receive from the applicant a revised full set of plans incorporating these changes, and those have been provided as well.
Was there any change to the recitals in the decision but compared to the previous approved preliminary final land development plan?
So I gave you a red line version that shows you in red the changes that were made from the original resolution. So yes, on page 2 there were some recitals. We identified the plans that were actually approved in May of 25 as the original LD plans, and the revision we identified, which is the last revision date of April 2nd of 26, we called those the revised LD plans. So that really is the extent. There's some explanation as to why revised plans were actually filed, but otherwise the rest of the order is exactly the same, just with those references being changed, and dates of the date of the traffic engineer's latest letter was also added.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Hi, good evening. I'm Greg Edelman here on behalf of the applicant. As Chris and Kristen just went over, we are here for an amended final, preliminary/final approval. When we were last in front of the board in May of last year, as part of the preliminary final plan, we had modified the proposed interior circulation for the McDonald's. We thought we had a good working modification of the existing conditions, but McDonald's had changes that they wanted us to add as a result of some of our discussions to finalize the amendments to the declaration for the condominium, which was a condition of our approval. So that's what really brought us here today. In terms of the overall site, nothing else has changed with the Wawa. It's still the same layout. There hasn't been any modifications to that proposed portion of the project. The McDonald's is a little hard to see here, but then maybe Alex Peel can come up and highlight. You'll see a lot of different red notations, which is an overlay to highlight some of those changes. Alex, I don't know if you want to run the board through just very quickly what happened, but generally it's really pavement markings and some traffic circulation changes.
I do not.
It's okay, I'll stay.
Do I need to be on the mic?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do you have that laser?
I do not.
Oh, okay. Just start go clockwise.
I don't get ready.
Yeah. Okay. So what we did here, again, Alex Peel from RGS Associates, it was basically did an overlay of the two plans to highlight in red what was updated. You'll see out on, or to the right side of the sheet, essentially we made some modifications to the McDonald's drive-through just to ensure that the circulation would be the best it could be for the restaurant. That really benefits obviously the entire center because that will help move vehicles through the main entrance and into the drive-through circulation more efficiently. So along the right side of the sheet there, you'll see we added some additional pavement striping to define the limits of the drive on the right side, modified the curb line there at the intersection with the main entrance to neck that down to more of a one-way condition to make it clear. You know, a lot of what happened on the right that you see highlighted are additional signs and additional striping, all in an effort to ensure that everyone is clear that this is a one-way circulation and to create a second drive-through lane sooner in the circulation pattern there. Again, getting people into the drive-through lane while providing on the outside a bypass lane. So someone can get around vehicles sitting in the drive-through. So that, again, will all lead to vehicles moving more smoothly through that intersection condition. Also, the lane in front of or along the south side of McDonald's here, that's now available that someone can make a left off of the main entrance easily and get to those parking spaces that are along the front of the McDonald's. The curbing, the mountable curbing, all of those elements that we talked about through the process, which we know are very important to the township to define the limits of that parking area for the McDonald's and the main entrance egress lanes is all remain the same. So that all continues to define those limits, as well as the extension of the boulevard, if you recall, along the center of the main entrance. That still is how it was originally designed. A primary function of that was to ensure that you don't have people coming out of the right end into the Wawa pad and shortcutting. They have to go out to the back of the Wawa or to the lane that we added through the design process that gives a clean access to the rear of the shopping center. Moving across
before you go
yes,
on, did
yeah.
Wawa hire a traffic engineer to propose this traffic, or did they just say that this is what they wanted to do? And
No, so McDonald's had their consultant, their traffic consultant, provide feedback on, you know, the design changes. Through that process, we worked over several months with township staff and the township traffic engineer, and, you know, submitted an initial plan, got feedback from the township's traffic engineer, made modifications to the plan based on that, and that's what you see before you this evening.
Okay, now can I also
Yes.
ask you to take the mic and walk over there and point the things as you're talking?
That's,
I'd appreciate it.
that, I figured that would probably be easier.
Thank
but
you.
Try not
Or
to.
you want to use, just pull out, right? Here, this will be easier.
Oh, I think I got it.
Got it.
Yeah, I was definitely gonna take it apart there for a second. So, no, I agree. So I won't recap everything here, but this is the entrance that I'm talking about that we modified. There's 2 lanes coming in here. They pretty much immediately split into 2 drive-through lanes, and then that provides that bypass lane. And again, that will move cars through this area more smoothly. We also added a lane here. That allows for a clean movement off of the drive to get to the parking spaces along the south side of the McDonald's. What you see in here along the south side are just curbing and striping updates in this area, but that continues to define that separation between the McDonald's parking area and the egress out of the shopping center. Up here, as I noted, all of this red, this is the extension of this curb line. It did end here. We brought it about 10 feet further up to really make this defined as a one-way. Added a one-way sign here as well as a one-way sign here. That way, when you have people coming out, they'll know that, you know, to help ensure that they're coming around and that nobody is going left, along with additional pavement stripings to indicate the same. There was a clearance bar that was down here further. McDonald's wanted to move that up closer to their order boards. Over here, again, opened up a couple of these radiuses a bit more for turning movements. Do not enter signs are here. Additional stop bar pavement or markings here and here. And then a slight modification to this curb line. I think this was part of the discussion with the township traffic engineer. They're a little concerned that that radius might be a little too small. Again, that will help vehicles come through, come in, and come down to that drive more smoothly. And then, as I noted, you know, the things that you see out along here, this is really related to coordination with PennDOT on the HOP process, which the township is part of that review process as well.
Alex, can you please go back to the parking that's on the south side of the McDonald's?
Yes.
And so the traffic is two-way there into and out of those parking spots. So what is the lane, if you've got traffic going from east to west coming in to park, and you've got traffic going back towards the Wawa going west to east, what is the lane width there for those two to pass each other?
There you go. Yeah, so it is 24 feet total, so 12 feet each way.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that was something that obviously, if you recall through the design process, you know, we definitely had a lot of discussion about this. If you recall, we actually pulled all of this south because there was not that much room there before, and obviously there was no curbing previous that separated that parking area from the egress lanes.
What is the size of the curving there for dividing the two exit lanes coming up to the light from that McDonald's area?
Which
that
this
one right there, yeah.
1.5 feet.
So leaving the McDonald's, will somebody be able to make the left-hand turn and go back to Colonial Village?
Yes. Yep, and that was one of the things there was concern that there really wasn't a good way to do that in the original design. So there's a stop bar here. So as you're coming out of the McDonald's, you'll stop, and then you can either go left and come across here. There's a stop bar here and a stop sign, and you can make a left to go to Colonial Village, or this is a stop bar here. This is the terminus of the curb. You can come down, stop here, and then move into the exiting lanes.
Other questions from the board? Is there any public comments or questions on this? I'd like to give you the opportunity to do that now if you have any questions. Doug?
Is McDonald's parcel a separate?
Could you use the mic, Doug, please? Thank you.
This might be a dumb question, but the parcel that the McDonald's is on is separate from the rest of the shopping center, correct?
No, it's a unit, it's one condominium. So it's all one parcel, but that's a separate condominium unit.
Okay, so that parcel is owned by the shopping center.
The unit is owned by McDonald's. The rest of the condominium is owned by the shopping center.
Okay, so did McDonald's have input on how this was the franchise owner did they have input in what's happening there?
As part of the condominium association, they had input in terms of the things that affected their unit. They don't have control over uses outside of their unit.
Right.
They just have the right of ingress, egress, shared utilities, etc.
But Dr. White, the whole reason why they did this was because McDonald's, the owner of McDonald's unit did not like the first plan. And so it went back to them and said, no, you have to make changes that they wanted to be taken under consideration. So that's what's explained. All of these changes are as a result of McDonald's response to the original plan.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Could you talk a little bit about the 18 and 24-inch berm along the frontage of the property that's allowed you to put proposed landscaping, and what kind of landscaping are you proposing?
If we could back up to the overall plan, and actually, Chris, do you have the whole packet up?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yep, okay. I figured we'll flip to the actual landscape plan.
Alex, which page number is it? You know this.
You should. Yeah, I cannot read that one. Hold it. Should be 14. Yeah, in the plan set. So while that's being brought up, that was what you're referring to is landscape berm and planting that was discussed through the design process. That was updated during the initial approval of the plan, and there haven't been any modifications to that design. Yep. So basically there will be a berm across here. Sorry for orientation, this is the proposed Wawa, a portion of the existing center and the McDonald's. High Street's here. So the limit of the parking's here. What was discussed and done on the plan was we graded in a berm through this area, adjacent to the parking lot and the ramp coming off, and then added landscaping through this area. My recollection is, and I don't think on this screen we'll be able to read it, but if you back up one sheet, please, Chris. Yeah, that's not going to be legible. So it's a mix of trees, evergreen shrubs, and some deciduous shrubs through that area. And again, that was through the discussion and feedback in the design process.
It's not just be bushes, it'll be trees actually along that.
Yeah, trees and shrubs. So you'll get that, 3 foot, 4 foot height. The bottom of the canopy is about 6 foot. So in combination, it provides a nice screening along there, especially for headlights, which was obviously a primary topic of conversation.
I had a question regarding the actual resolution, number 16. I know we say, when we talk about the permits, we say but not limited to, but then we do go on and list some permits. So if we did list them, I would suggest that we also list the underground storage tank and above ground storage tank permits that are required. in number 16. Or if you think not limited to is enough to cover that, that's fine.
That's mandated though, right?
Yeah.
It is
So, I mean,
mandated.
we
Whatever's-
approved
These
this
are all
previously
mandated.
as
This was the
conditions.
same language from the last resolution a year
Those are
ago.
all mandated, DEP, MVDS, and all.
That's correct. So whatever's required is required. I think including but not limited to is inclusive,
Okay.
not exclusive. So I think you're okay.
I have one question related to, we have not in this revised, in this resolution, we have not changed the waivers that you were seeking, the 4 waivers that are listed. Those are the ones we previously had considered, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions from the board or anyone in attendance? Okay, then we're looking for a board member to make a motion, if so willing, to approve the update of the amended final land development plan for the redevelopment of the Parkway Shopping Center at 929 South High Street, pertaining to the traffic circulation changes that have been made. Is there a board member willing to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ashley. I will second the motion. Is there any public comment or questions on the motion? Okay, then we're ready to take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Have a good night, everyone.
Okay, next is agenda item number 6, public hearing and possible adoption of ordinance number 3, 2026, authorizing the execution of a cable franchise agreement with Verizon Pennsylvania LLC. Kristen.
Thank you. So I think at the last meeting, we talked about this. The township was a participant with a consortium of other municipalities. They used a law firm called the Cohen Law Group. It's based out of Pittsburgh. They are the premier expert solicitor with respect to anything with cable companies, Comcast and and Verizon. So they negotiated a 5-year franchise renewal agreement with Verizon. You adopt your franchise agreements through an ordinance process. So we did advertise tonight as a public hearing. That ad was in the Daily Local on April 27th. And we also sent a copy of the ordinance, which attached to the ordinance is the new franchise agreement. We sent that to the law library in the Daily Local on April 24th. So again, Verizon and Cohen Law Group came together and talked about the critical terms. Verizon's only willing to do a 5-year renewal. I think pretty much, it's not substantively much different than the current existing agreement you have. A lot of this is governed by the Federal Telecommunications Act in terms of what rights the municipality has to ask from their cable franchise. So pretty straightforward. And again, I believe they sent a good explanation of the summary of the key points that they worked on with Verizon.
Thank you, Kristen. Is there any questions or comments from the board? We did not have any follow-up questions, I believe, from the last conversation on this.
From the last meeting on April
Yeah.
3rd? No, we did not, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
thank you. Okay, I will make a motion to adopt ordinance number 3, 2026, authorizing the execution of a cable franchise agreement with Verizon Pennsylvania LLC. Is there a second? Thank you, John. Is there any public comments or questions on the motion? Okay, then we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Kristen. Okay, next is agenda item number 7. We can find it. So, agenda item 7 is discussion and possible adoption of resolution number 8, 2026, declaring the week of May 10th, 2026 to May 16th, 2026 as National Police Week. So before the board this evening is the proposed resolution. It would recognize the week of May 11th to May 16th as National Police Week. The purpose of this designation is to recognize the contributions and sacrifices that law enforcement professionals make to the community, and we commend the work that each member of the West Goshen Township Police Department does every day, as they are a critical component of the township's operations. So that's the intention behind the resolution. Does the board wish me to read some of the resolution out? Yeah. Okay. Would any board member be willing to do that?
All right, resolution.
John's going to read it. Thank you.
Did you want to do it? All right, okay. Resolution number 9, -2026, a resolution of West Goshen Township, Chester County, Pennsylvania, recognizing the week of May 11, 2026 through May the 16th, 2026 as National Police Week, and honor the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the West Goshen Township Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, there have been more than 24,500 law enforcement officers in the United States who have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial funds the 38th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May the 13th, 2026. And whereas Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which will be observed this year, May the 11th, 2026 to May 16th, 2026. And whereas May 15th, 2026 is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors in West Goshen Township will observe May the 11th, 2026 to May the 16th, 2026 as National Police Week in West Goshen Township, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and the communities across the nation. Resolved and adopted this day, May 2026.
Thank you, John. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 9, 2026. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, team. Is there any public comments or questions?
I have a question for the Chief. Are there any events? I know there's quite a few things being planned out in Washington. Anything planned around in the area?
Yeah, the FOP, has its memorial service at 6:30 p.m. at the FOP on 100 block of North Church Street, Westchester, this Friday, or Friday the 15th.
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
how's the board feel about sponsoring a luncheon for the police officer? Pizzas or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys be all right with that? Can we set something up first?
Yep, absolutely.
Some peaches and hoagies, whatever?
I'll work with the chief.
I think it's steaks,
Yeah.
She says,
Always a race in the bar.
that's what you want, that's what you get.
No, that's very generous, I really appreciate it.
Well, we certainly it was a very enjoyable presentation a couple of meetings ago when we recognized some of the outstanding individual achievements of the team here at West Goshen PD. And as I said then, as I'll say again today, it's a great, it's an honor to have you guys serving our community, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got a motion, we need to take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next up is agenda item number 8, which is discussion and possible adoption of resolution number 9, 2026, declaring the week of May 17th, 2026 to May 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week. So before the board this evening is proposed resolution, ahead of myself here, I think. Is it 9 or 10?
10, 20, 26.
10, I've got the wrong agenda then. 10, 2026. This resolution would designate the week of May 17th and May 23rd as National Public Works Week in West Goshen Township. The purpose of this designation is to recognize the contributions that our public works professionals make to the community. This year's theme is Rooted in Service, Powered by Community, and the American Public Works Association outlines the theme as follows. Rooted in Service, Powered by Community acknowledges that the roots of service run deep in public works. It's what has propelled public works innovations that have helped our communities evolve into places where people can lead lives of purpose and possibility. Some work, like building roads and bridges, is highly visible, while other public works contributions, like maintaining water and sewer systems, are sometimes hidden from view. Together, these efforts form the foundation of thriving communities, reminding us that every project, seen or unseen, powers a connection between service and the people it supports. The board commends the work that each member of the township's public works department does every day, as they are certainly a critical component to the township's operations. So thank you.
Now, this acknowledgement is also going to go to the sewer authority, correct?
Yes.
All right, so,
Includes wastewater services.
yes,
I'll make the motion to adopt this resolution.
number 10, okay?
A second?
Thank you. Do we have a board member willing to read the resolution out, just as John did for the police?
Go ahead, Dan.
I'll do it if you don't want, if no one else is
As
willing
I'm
to step up.
selected. A resolution of the West Goshen Township Board of Supervisors, Chester County, proclamate the week of May 17th, 2026 to May 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainability and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of West Goshen Township. And whereas these infrastructure facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals or engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation system, roads, water supply, wastewater treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leader, and children in West Goshen Township to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs and the work performed in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th Annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, be it now. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Supervisors of West Goshen Township do hereby designate the week of May 17th, 2026 to May 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week, and urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life, resolved and adopted this 5th day of May 2026.
Thank you, Tina. Is there any public comments or questions on the resolution?
Now, I'm going to ask the board, would the board be amenable to providing a luncheon for our folks in public?
I guess, absolutely.
Same deal?
Whatever the police have, public works goes the same.
Agreed.
All right. Okay, we have a motion, so we're ready to take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda is agenda item number 9, discussion and possible awarding of the 2026 pavement marking bid. So before the Board of Supervisors this evening are the bid results for the 2026 pavement marking project. The bids were advertised in the April 9th and April 16th editions of the Daily Local News. The bids were opened on April the 30th. Bid results were tabulated. We had 3 bids from 3 companies. Please be advised from the Township Manager that in reviewing the bids, the low bid A1 Traffic Control Products LLC did not bid on a large portion of the items listed. That bid was only for the single white and double yellow lines, and therefore this bid is considered to be a non-responsive bid. Also, the project is shared among the following municipalities: West Goshen Township, East Goshen Township, Westtown Township, Euclid Township, Upper Euclid Township, and West Whiteland Township. As in the past, each municipality is billed based on their proportionate share of the work completed, and in reviewing past expenditures, our share will be in the order of between $60,000 and $80,000 is expected. The average over the last 5 years has been $66,953. Does the board have any questions on the bids or the non-responsive bid from A1 Traffic Control?
Mr. Chairman, I'll note that Mark Bertolami did contact A1 Traffic Control. They didn't respond to about 80% of the bid items, and they indicated to him that it was a staffing issue as to why they didn't respond. But we reviewed it with Kristen, and we're all of the opinion that it's pretty self-explanatory that you were expected to respond to everything.
Yep. The next lowest bid is Alpha Space Control. Were they the winning bidder last year, do you know?
Yes, they've been the winning bidder actually the last 2 years.
Okay,
The
thank you.
prices haven't increased much, because I see we've been paying them since 2021.
This is up, I didn't go back that far, just looking at the last 2 years. So in '24 was around 212,000, and in '25 was around 214,000. So it did go up about $9,000. Mark reviewed the line item bids, and there were some increases on the thermoplastic painting side. There were a couple increases on the quantity amounts,
Yeah.
which would be the explanation, but they're relatively comparable to previous years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's ultimately dependent on how much striping is needed across these municipalities, so it will be the proportionate share based on the actual usage.
And is Mark happy with them?
Yes.
Okay, I will make a motion to award the 2026 pavement marking bid to Alpha Space Control in the amount of $223,384.50. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nate. Is there any comments or questions from the board or anyone in attendance on the motion? Okay, then we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 10 is discussion and possible authorization to participate in the lawn to meadow conversion grant program with the Chester County Conservation District. And we are looking for Chris to introduce this one.
Yes, and the chair of the Sustainability Advisory Committee is here with us this evening, and I have a plan that they've worked out that I will put up on the screen. So before the board this evening is consideration to participate in a lawn to meadow conversion grant program with the Chester County Conservation District. I believe, if I'm remembering my conversation with them correctly, they received money from the Department of Conservation, the PA Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, that they then distribute to these applicants. So specifically, the proposal would be to install native plantings in the Fresh Meadow Park. This facility is currently a 2.2 acre open field with no amenities. And the township's draft park recreation and open space plan outlines Fresh Meadows Park as a candidate for an upgraded neighborhood park and seeks to add plantings in this area. It identifies such things as trees and nectar nodes. The Sustainability Advisory Committee has been made aware of a grant opportunity to implement a natural conversion of this park through the Chester County Conservation District. We provided a sketch plan for the project and some conceptual information from the Park Recreation and Open Space Plan. The sketch plan differs from the conceptual plan, but I believe that the intention for the property is relatively aligned. Additionally, members of the SAC reviewed this project with the Park and Recreation Board at their meeting on April 15th, and they were supportive. So if it's authorized, if participation is authorized, the township would need to execute a match commitment letter and landowner agreement. I've provided samples of both from the Conservation District for the board's review. So I'll bring the plan up. Dorothy, did I hit everything properly? Thank you. So I'll bring the plan up. So this is the plan that the SAC has worked out. The line area is a gas pipeline easement. There's some questions about, any sort of plantings in that area that would obviously need to be worked out. But if you look on the, I guess that would be the western side of the field, it calls for native meadows, some shade trees, and native flowering trees to be installed, as well as some native meadow plantings.
It's just lawn today then?
It is just a mowed lawn.
Okay.
That is all it is. And they would maintain, just like outlined in the Park and Recreation Plan, they would maintain like a central field area, because we do know that the residents of that area do utilize that field for sport, for like private sports and things of that nature.
I know we were going to solicit, or maybe we did solicit the neighborhood to see what feedback they wanted to provide. Did we get any feedback from them?
We haven't done that
We
yet.
haven't,
Okay.
we're waiting for board approval.
Okay.
And I know that Mark provided contact information for the pipeline to a member of the SAC, I believe today.
So what's the difference between the green area and the brown area under the pipeline?
So the orangish brown area is just plantings. The green area, the green circles represent native shade trees. The purple represent native flowering trees, and then the green in the center is an existing aerial of the existing turf grass.
What about the brown?
That's meadows.
Those are meadows.
Just a meadow?
Just a meadow, just like meadow plantings, native meadow
And
plantings.
that would be mowed.
No,
Got it.
Just the green area would be done?
correct.
And the type of activities that people do today, I don't know, throw the frisbee for the dog or whatever it is perfectly acceptable with that remaining area, correct?
I would say so. And I'll also say that the members of the SAC have also spoken with Mark and Mike in the Public Works Department about this plan, and they've seen it as well.
Okay.
I guess like Tina, my only, I would really want to know what the neighbors are going to think of having this. I mean, I think it would be an improvement, obviously. It's good for sustainability, but if they utilize this field, I'd just be interested to hear what they had to say.
We have a letter drafted and a survey accompanying the letter.
Okay.
So we just want to do things one step at a time in proper order. So we have not been authorized yet to
Put it out there.
put it out there.
Are you going to give it to everybody in the neighborhood? Is that the plan? Everybody that lives in this neighborhood?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
It would be some slightly larger scale than what we did in Hamlet Crest in terms of the notification, since this would be more the whole neighborhood versus the area that was like immediately around that park area.
Is it going to be like an online survey type thing? Or how's that going to work? You're going to mail them something?
But I think there will be a link in the letter to an online survey.
Okay.
But an actual physical letter will have to go out
Correct.
to the addresses of the residents in that development.
I don't mind approving, to have something done, but I wouldn't want to be locked into this, because I'd like the feedback from the residents to see what they want
This is for the
here.
purposes of the grant application, is my
Okay.
understanding, to be
That's correct.
fine-tuned
Mm-hmm.
after we get resident input.
Okay, it's fine, yeah.
And how much would the grant be for?
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, we don't.
I believe that's still up in the air. I can tell you that the grant wouldn't pay for the tree plantings, it would just be the meadow portion of the project.
Oh.
The program wouldn't pay for any trees, so we would pay for trees out of our existing budget.
And you're going to send them the, like this, like the residents are going to be able to see sort of the plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no conflict between if the board proceeds tonight with authorizing participation in the grant program with subsequent feedback from residents to say, we like the trees, but we don't want a meadow.
That would create an issue.
Yeah, it's really right.
You wouldn't be able to do the grant, I'll say that much. You would just be planting trees.
So if we approve this tonight, are we going to hold off on actual submission until we get this feedback from residents? And
I think there's a time,
There's a
there's
timeline.
kind of a timeline that would sort of fall
Or
off.
when we send it to the residents, could we say there are certain portions of this plan that cannot be changed because of the grant opportunity? And then they stay away from those areas of suggesting anything, like the meadow, you can't touch that, so don't give me any suggestions regarding the meadow, but give me suggestions regarding plantings or something else.
Yeah, good idea.
And make it clear to them.
Would you be able to use the money if we were to receive the grant for meadows and other parks? Or would you think that they really constrict us to using it for this park?
It's generally, it's project specific, but we can run that question by the
If
conservation
in the event
district.
that the neighbors were really, not a fan of the nectar nodes and the meadows and stuff.
okay. So board, where are we with this then?
I think we approved to go after the grant. Simultaneously with sending it to the residents to let them know what we're doing and get their input at the same time. And then we'll have the feedback from them in addition to hopefully the grant application, whether we got it or not.
Okay, and then
That would
as
be
part of
my
that
suggestion.
communication with the residents, we're going to explain that the grant that there will be whatever the area is, or the meadow is given we've submitted a grant application.
Yeah, I think they need to know all that.
Okay.
So are you guys, is the sustainability committee going to come up with a number for how much you need to do this? Or are you going to have Carroll Engineering give you a number? I mean, how are you going to do
The
something?
cost, you mean? The
Mhm.
cost to do it? Yes, I believe Nick is working on that.
Yeah, he was. Last meeting, he said it was going to cost for the trees. I think he said it wasn't going to be more than couple $1,000s.
Right.
For the meadow?
For planting trees.
Yeah.
So is the application for the grant the cost of the meadow?
Yes.
It's the cost of the meadow.
Who's coming up with the cost of the meadow?
I think Nick's coming up with the cost of
Yes.
everything. That was my understanding from the last SAC
Okay.
meeting.
And the SAC has money as well.
Mhm.
We have a budget.
Okay.
That hasn't been spent in
That has not
6
been
years.
spent, no.
4 years,
Hardly at
4
all.
years.
No, it's been spent in
few
the past.
things, a few
It hasn't
bags.
been-
Yeah.
Don't we use it at Hamlet Crest Park? Do we use it a bit of it there?
No,
Those
those
were
were all,
donated.
we
yeah.
bought the
Okay.
bags, the bag, the sustainable.
We bought the bags, we've done some training.
Yeah.
Oh, and the interpretive exhibit that I designed for Hamlet Crest Park, the, yes,
Right.
the
That was-
sign.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So I'm looking to a board member to advance the motion here then.
I will make a motion, or did you already make it?
No, I've not made a motion. I want you to frame it for me so I've got it, so I have it right.
Okay, take notes. I make a motion to basically have, to install native plantings in the Fresh Meadow Park and to obtain a grant. And obtain a grant application for the work that's going to be done at Fresh Meadows Park.
For
Through a
Meadow.
lawn to meadow pond
For Meadow
conversion
conversion.
grant program.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, so I have a motion and a second to apply for a grant from this program from the Chester County Conservation District for a lawn to meadow conversion aspect of the overall refresh of Fresh Meadows Park. Is there any public comment or questions on the motion? Doug?
Two questions. This is old township land, right?
Yes.
It's old township land. So as far as getting input from the residents, is this mainly driven by because it's enclosed by the neighborhood and the neighborhood uses this?
They're the predominant users, so we don't want to take away an aspect that they really enjoy, whatever that might be.
Okay, and then also, do you have any idea what the township portion cost would be?
I can't say, I can't answer that question at
But
this
it would
time.
be, say, would you know the percentage of the grant amount?
I can tell you that the letter that they provided to us, I believe, had a commitment of $1,800.
So I'll wing it. I'll say a lawn to meadow conversion will be in the kind of $5,000 range for the grant, and the match might be $1,500, $1,800 from the township, which is less than the $5,000 the sustainability committee has in its budget.
The sample letter that was provided to us had a match commitment of $1,800 either through an equivalent staff and volunteer time or a commitment of an $1,800 cash match.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's a 50-50 match, and the maximum we get is $2,000, or whether if the cost that's provided is $4,000, that they'll provide the whole thing other than our share of it.
Okay.
But it's in that kind of ballpark. We're not talking $20,000 here. Okay. Any other questions? All right, then we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 11, discussion and possible authorization to advertise a proposed amendment to the West Goshen Township zoning ordinance pertaining to the historic resource protection. So before the board this evening is consideration to authorize the advertisement of a proposed amendment to the township zoning ordinance pertaining to historic resource protection. The ordinance being proposed does not create what is known as a historic architectural review board. The intent is not to unduly burden property owners. The intent of this ordinance is to allow the historical commission to document a property deemed historic before it is significantly modified or demolished. The intent of this ordinance is also to address demolition by neglect. The ordinance does not create a historic overlay zoning district in the township. The board and the historical commission held a joint meeting to discuss this proposed ordinance on February the 26th. At this meeting, both bodies invited owners of the properties outlined on the proposed list of historic resources to attend and ask questions about the proposed ordinance. As follow-up to that meeting, the township researched 2 questions that were raised related to disclosure during a sale of property and any potential impact on insurance costs. Based on a review of the agreement of sale documents, being included on the township's list of historic resources included in the ordinance would need to be disclosed by the seller. Being included on the list of historic resources would not have any impact on an individual's property insurance. Responses to those questions were included in our March e-newsletter, and additionally, the Historical Commission conducted a final review of the proposed list of historic resources to include in this ordinance. Regarding the proposed ordinance, as this is a land use amendment, it will need to be reviewed by the Chester County Planning Commission, the Township Planning Commission, and advertised for two successive weeks prior to adoption by the board. So tonight, if the board is so inclined, would be to authorize the advertisement of the amendment for the historic zoning ordinance. Does the board have any questions or comments on the ordinance? We've talked about this at length. We've had the joint meeting. There is one open question, I believe. Chris, if you would explain that.
So, Mr. Chairman, the one open question relates to, as we're going through this process, relates to any sort of property that would be subject to a court order under the Abandoned and Blighted Property Conservatorship Act. What I'm recommending is under section 84-135.
Hang on a second, let me find it on here. 84-135.
Yes, it's on.
General provisions.
Correct.
Okay.
So we add a new section, section D, which would be titled Exemption for Properties in Conservatorship, and the language that I've run by the solicitor, which just states simply, property subject to a court order issued pursuant to the Abandoned and Blighted Property Conservatorship Act, Act 135 of 2008 as amended, shall not be subject to the provisions outlined in section 84-135.
Okay. Any questions from the board on that proposed addition to this ordinance?
Will it be subject to anything else in the ordinance then?
I mean, if you do, we enforce the subject, so the 905 property was subjected to the provisions under the property maintenance code, so I would say that they would still probably be subjected to the demolition by neglect provision had this been adopted, so it would give additional tools to do that, and more enforcement mechanisms, which also, you could make the argument, makes the grounds for conservatorship more enticing, I would say, or maybe more, it furthers the advancement of that argument. Because if they're demoing it by neglect, then it probably is a candidate for some type of conservatorship process.
Early on.
Early on, yes.
Yeah.
Well, let me address this to our solicitor. In the legal world there, if a judge issues an order, would that supersede any ordinance that the township may have?
Depends on what the ordinance says. But in the instance of what we're talking about, when there is a judge's order ordering something to be done to this property, then yes, that's gonna dictate what they're supposed to be doing to the property. But remember, the township was, what led to going down this path was all the years of issuing property maintenance code violations, getting fines, and that not doing anything to entice the property owner. They didn't really matter that they were getting all these fines. It was a lot of expense on the township's part to have to send your code enforcement officer out there, go to court, issue the citations, follow up, deal with the problem. So I think to answer your question, John, the court will dictate ultimately what has to happen. I don't want to say carte blanche, there's no ordinance that would ever kick in or apply, because, for example, you still may have to get a demolition permit. There may be hazardous substances that they have to deal with, something in your building codes or fire codes in terms of, so I don't want to say it supersedes every ordinance. I think it really just depends upon what's being ordered by the court to happen and what's on the property.
Okay, so just February is a while ago, so excuse my short-term memory not being what it should be, but if we enact this ordinance and a situation was to arise like happened at 905 West Town Road, in addition to the initial property maintenance code violations, which may not be sufficient to get the property owner to do the right thing with respect to the property, this ordinance, if it was in place, would allow us then to go towards this demolition by neglect at an early stage and potentially force either a conservatorship or on that property owner, or hopefully get the property owner to take action earlier than it occurred in this situation.
Yeah, it's another, so all the citations that have been issued were property maintenance code violations. This would now be a zoning violation, which is a whole different way, and in my opinion, a prompter way in some cases. You go, you file, you send a notice of zoning violation. The property owner has 30 days to abate the violation or appeal to the zoning hearing board. And if they don't do either of those two, day 31, we can file a civil complaint in the district court seeking $500 a day. So that can really act as a good hammer.
Good. Okay, so any other questions from the board?
The one thing I will note, and Michael, please correct me if I'm wrong, there are 2 additions to the list that's before the board. We are working to get in touch with those property owners to notify them. Michael's finalizing a letter to go out to them. So we will have notification. This will have to go through the review process with the Planning Commission and the county. So we will have made contact with them prior to any action being taken by the board.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Well, I'm going to make a motion to authorize the advertisement of this proposed amendment to the Township zoning ordinance on historic resource protection with the language that was cited by Chris relative to the a property that would be in being dealt with by a court order or under the Blighted Properties Act, and subject to the process including 2 potential additional properties on the list. Is there a second? Thank you. Is there any public comment or questions? Okay, we're ready to take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 12 is discussion and possible appointment of Michael Bonner as a regular member of the zoning hearing board. So before the board this evening is consideration to appoint Michael Bonner as a regular member of the zoning hearing board. The vacancy is the result of a recent resignation of Mahmoud Sheikh. Mr. Bonner currently serves as an alternate member to the zoning hearing board, having been appointed to this position in March of 2024. If appointed tonight, Mr. Bonner would complete the term that expires in January of 27. Are there any board questions or comments? Is a board member willing to make a motion to appoint Mr. Bonner as a regular member of the zoning hearing board?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Nate. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tina. Is there any public comments or questions? Very good. We'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item 13 is approval of the Board of Supervisors meeting minutes from April the 7th, 2026. Did the board have any corrections or typos for these meeting minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll note I received typo corrections from Mr. Hellman and Mr. Wallman, and all of those corrections have been made.
Very good. Is there any comments or questions from the board on the content? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Supervisors meeting minutes for April the 7th. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tina. Is there any public comments or questions? Okay, then we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 14 is approval of the bills to be paid for the general fund, the sewer revenue fund, the waste and recycling fund, and the capital reserve fund. I'll make a motion to approve those bills to be paid. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you,
I
Ashley.
just had one question regarding that. The police fax lines. John, maybe you can answer this. The police fax lines. Do you have an actual fax machine, or does the faxes go to an email? Okay, because I'm just wondering why we need the fax machine if it can go to email now. Yeah, do we really need the fax machine?
Certain,
I mean, it could go to email.
but certain documents, so the fax, I don't know about on the police side, on the administration side, the faxes go to a server and they come to me. There are certain things that pretty much have to be, still are requested to be done by fax, like a lot of times medical records.
Yeah, and I'm okay with the fax, but like all of my fax, if somebody faxes me something from their computer, it goes to my computer.
See, I think.
You don't need an actual machine. You can still get the fax, but you don't need a machine.
I believe what Officer DeLeon is referring to is we have like a multi-function machine that functions as a scanner, copier, fax machine, and that's what we fax things through.
Okay.
Yeah, we receive.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why we still have a fax machine when you really don't need it. You can still get faxes electronically.
It's not a separate item.
It's not a separate
It's
item.
not a separate item. It's a multi-function device.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the bills? Okay, we had a motion, right, so we're ready to take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. I move to adjourn the meeting at 7:10. Is there a second? Thank you, Ashley. All in favor of adjournment say aye. Aye. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you all for
Thank you so
serving.
much.
Yeah.
This recorded meeting
All right, good luck on your exams, Ashley. Hang in
Thank you
there.
so much.
Hang in there. You got it.
tonight. Bye, Kristen.